is blessed just like the Lord made it. Good evening, the veil has been lifted. And live from the Kenyan capital Nairobi, you're just in time for the Friday edition of the Ebru Prime Time News. My name is Emmanuel Kutosi, and in store for you are stories on matters happening in the country and also beyond our borders that our very candid news team has been up and about to compile just for you. And among the top stories tonight: President Dr. William Ruto hits out at the opposition on calls to open the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission servers, saying it is not his duty to do so.
Nimemwambia mtu ya kitendawili asisumbue mimi na mambo ya masaba. Hakuna mahali katiba inasema rais ndio mtu ya kufungua masaba. Yeye kwa sababu wako na nafasi mingi aende afanye hiyo kazi ya kufungua masaba. Awachane, mimi niko na kazi ya kuendesha Kenya, mimi niko na nafasi gani ya kwenda kufungua masaba?
Voters in Magarini and Lagdera constituencies are set to return to the ballot after the courts nullified the members of parliament election victories.
Tunataka tuweze kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu na pia tushukuru mahakama yetu kwa sababu leo haki imetendeka.
Naona haki imeonekana kwa haki, na sisi tunapenda haki na tunapenda amani.
With the impacts of climate change affecting millions, we look at how women are facing the wrath of Mother Nature.
So we bear the brunt as African countries. Women bear the most brunt. Women bear the most brunt because first, they are the most vulnerable in the community. Second, the climate change effects affect them because they also depend on this ecosystem in terms of livelihood.
A good evening and welcome to the broadcast that is also streaming live on www.ebru.co.ke. And allow me to extend the invitation for you to join us on our social media handles. We are at Ebrutv Kenya, and you can reach me at _Emmanuel Kutosi. The Friday edition of the Ebru Primetime News begins now. President Dr. William Ruto has said the number of recruits joining the National Youth Service will double beginning next year. Ruto said the youth service will recruit 20,000 from the 10,000 that the institution currently takes in.
President William Ruto has directed some ministries to allocate 30% of their vacancies to the National Youth Service servicemen and women. President Ruto said the move is aimed at encouraging and motivating many young Kenyans to join their path to national service and productivity. The head of state said the number of those joining NYS will be doubled during future intakes, adding that the youth play an important role in the development of the country, saying the government will continue to nurture their talents so as to make use of their expertise.
We want to double the intake of young people joining the National Youth Service from every location in the Republic of Kenya as a mechanism of creating sufficient patriotism and giving opportunity to young people in rural areas who otherwise may not have the means or may not have the opportunity to be able to explore their talents.
The president also asked the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation to engage the construction of at least 100 dams and water plants annually. The president said the move is aimed at enriching education, training and skill development while utilizing the construction plant, machinery and equipment. Meanwhile, President Ruto also lauded plans by the NYS to put 720 acres of land under irrigation to support maize, potato and soybean seed production and multiplication.
This spirit of productive learning should extend to the cultivation of 80,000 acres of land under commercial food production. I have already had a conversation with the management of the National Youth Service. We have already agreed that the government of Kenya is going to provide agricultural machinery to support NYS agricultural sector for food production, to enhance self-reliance by NYS, and to support national food production as we seek for food self-reliance as a country.
He also said it was encouraging that the service was going to play a significant role in the national tree planting campaign by growing 1 billion trees on 40 acres of land over the next 5 years. Public Service and Gender Cabinet Secretary Aisha Juma on her part said NYS will continue to empower youth and skills development.
The National Youth Service has aligned its programs to contribute to the realization of the Kenya Kwanza bottom-up economic transformation agenda in the key 5 sectors, which include agricultural transformation, micro, small and medium enterprise, housing and settlement, healthcare, digital superhighway and creative industry.
Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika praised the role played by NYS in the economic transformation of the country.
We have seen the level of innovations. We have seen the technical skills that are being taught here. And as a county, Your Excellency, as Nakuru County, I aspire to partner with this institution to help train some of my staff and especially those in enforcement.
During the event, 11,692 graduates passed out, with 8,421 being men, 3,271 being service women, and 28 persons living with disability. Samson Jura for Ebru News.
And away from that, voters in Magarini and Lagdera constituencies are set to return back to the ballot after the courts nullified the election victory of Harrison Garama Kombe and Abdikadir Hussein Mohammed, respectively, as the area's members of parliament. In both instances, the courts cited massive irregularity in the August 9, 2022 race and ordered for fresh polls.
Tunataka tuweze kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu na pia tushukuru mahakama yetu kwa sababu leo haki imetendeka.
Sentiments from Kilifi County Deputy Speaker Stanley Karisa Kenga after the elections court nullified the Magarini constituency election results in a petition he had tabled against the declared outcome.
Ule ushindi ambao walitunyang'anya, leo mahakama imethibitisha kwamba madai yetu ndani ya mahakama hayakuwa madai, lakini ilikuwa ni ukweli kwamba kulikuwa na ukora, kulikuwa na wizi na dhulma iliweza kufanyika.
In a judgment delivered virtually, Justice Alfred Mabea cited massive irregularity, including ballot stuffing and exchange of votes during the August 9, 2022 polls as the reason for the nullification that see ODM's Harrison Kombe ejected as the Magarini Member of Parliament.
Muhimu ni kupata kile kiti cha Magarini, na kama ni kukipata kwa rahisi, njia rahisi na ya hakika, ni lazima tuunge mkono mgombea mmoja ambaye si mwingine bali ni Stanley Kenga.
Tumeona haki imeonekana kwa haki, na sisi tunapenda haki na tunapenda amani. Ombi tu kwa watu wa Magarini, wana Magarini wenzangu, naomba ya kwamba tushirikiane wakati huu ambao tunaenda kwa by-election, tushirikiane vizuri.
Kenga, who contested on a UDA party ticket, polled 11,925 votes against Kombe's 11,946 votes, a difference of 21 votes in the race that attracted 7 candidates. He has urged the Kenya Kwanza coalition to back his second stab at the seat. A similar decision was arrived at by the High Court that nullified the victory for ODM's Abdikadir Hussein Mohammed as Lagdera Member of Parliament in a petition filed by his rival Abdikani Zaitun of the UDA party, the court stating that the exercise was marred with irregularities. The courts have ordered the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) to conduct the polls afresh in the respective counties. Elsewhere, the opposition chief, Raila Amolo Odinga, has met with the key organ of the Orange Democratic Movement Party that brings together all the 47 county chairpersons. Raila, who is also the ODM party leader, will hold talks with the ODM County Chairpersons Caucus as he lays the ground for the major revamp of the party.
Orange Democratic Movement (ODM) grassroots leaders have endorsed Raila Odinga's impending mass action that is scheduled for next week to pursue what he termed as electoral justice. The party's chairman from 35 counties reached the resolution on Friday after a consultative meeting with their party leader Raila Odinga at a Nairobi hotel. They accused the judiciary for supporting impunity, citing the dismissal of Raila's presidential petition despite glaring irregularities and malpractices committed by the IEBC. Coincidentally, their stance come on the same day the ODM party lost 2 parliamentary seats after the court nullified Magarini Member of Parliament Harrison Kombe's election and Lagdera's Abdikadir Hussein.
The judiciary is compromised and has failed to live with the Constitution, hence promoting impunity. This was evident by the decision of the Supreme Court when they dismissed our presidential petition despite glaring irregularities and malpractices committed by the IBC and its officers. We therefore demand the opening of the IBC servers. We are fully convinced that the report is a true reflection of the outcome of the 2022 presidential general election. That is, President Raila Amolo Odinga got over 8 million votes and Ruto got 5 million votes. Ruto is not IBC. We are talking to IBC. He's just intruding. He has taken over even the work of the IBC. Ruto is in the president's office, and answering such questions is insubordination, and we don't like it. In fact, that is dictatorial.
The grassroots leaders said the rising cost of living and the inability of many Kenyans to afford basic goods and services has prompted the party to push the Kenya Kwanza government as a way of ensuring that Kenyans benefit from good governance, failure to which they say it will also lead to mass action.
Supporting the party leader in dealing with the electoral fraud, the county chairs are fully behind the party leaders to restore the stolen victory and push for audit of election results. We also support his initiative to pressure. We also support his initiative to pressure to the Kenya Kwanza regime to lower the rising cost of living and call for mass action should the government turn a deaf ear to the people of Kenya.
Other resolutions reached by the ODM county leaders include the endorsement of the delisting of rebel members of parliament who visited President William Ruto at the State House in Nairobi.
We county chairs from 35 counties have held a consultation with His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, the party leader. We, having had a lively engagement, have resolved as follows. 1. State House visit by ODM National Assembly members. The members support the steps taken by the party to deregister the said elected leaders, and this will act as a warning to others who may be planning of derailing the party in which they are still members.
Raila on February 22nd gave the Kenya Kwanza regime a 14-day ultimatum to open IEBC servers and lower the cost of living or face mass action. Kaindo Stefano, Ebrutv.
And still within the political arena, President Dr. William Ruto has told of Azimio leader Raila Odinga of his demands to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to open its servers. Speaking today in Nakuru, Ruto said the servers have always been open and accessible.
Nimemwambia mtu ya kitendawili asisumbue mimi na mambo ya masava. Hakuna mahali katiba inasema rais ndio mtu ya kufungua masava. Yeye kwa sababu wako na nafasi mingi aende afanye hiyo kazi ya kufungua masava. Awachane, mimi niko na kazi ya kuendesha Kenya, mimi niko na nafasi gani ya kwenda kufungua masava? Na nilimwambia sava ilifunguliwa zamani. Kwani alikuwa wapi? Si kila mtu alienda kwa station ukaweka biometric ukapata jina yako iko pale. Si sava ilikuwa open. Si ukapatiwa ile nini ukapiga kura alafu ikawekwa kwenye mtandao. Si kila mtu alikuwa na kura yake kwa portal. Si hiyo nini ilikuwa wazi. Sasa huyu alikuwa wapi siku hiyo? Mambo hiyo yote ilikuwa. Saa hii miezi 6 baadaye anakuja kutusumbua ati fungueni sub. Na mimi nataka niulize nyinyi, kuna mahali gani imeandikwa kwa katiba ati saba itafunguliwa? Mimi nataka niwaambie hawa watu, please let us respect the rule of law. Do not make demands that are unconstitutional, that are extra legal, that are extrajudicial. Sasa hiyo mnasema tufanye iko kwa katiba gani? Ama iko kwa sheria gani? Sisi tutafuata ile kwa sheria. Siku ile itaandikwa kwa sheria ati saba itafunguliwa na mtu fulani, tutafuata. So waende watengeneze sheria ya kufungua masaba ndio tujue vile tutaendesha. Kwa sasa sisi tunaendelea na kufungua uchumi na kupeleka mambo ya Kenya mbele.
And switching gears from matters politics to matters food security, President William today has launched a new variety of fertilizer that will be available for farmers across the country. According to President Ruto, the fertilizer is said to be soil-specific and tailor-made to suit crop nutrient requirements. With this new variety, different areas in Kenya will have a different blend of fertilizer that fit their needs.
In a move that is aimed at boosting food security in the country, President William Ruto today launched a new fertilizer variety that will be available for farmers across the country.
Dawa ya cost of living ni kusaidia wakulima wazalishe chakula ya kutosha. Hakuna dawa ingine. Na ndio sababu niliwaahidi ya kwamba tutapunguza gharama ya kilimo. Tutapunguza bei ya mbolea, tutapunguza bei ya mbegu, na mimi nataka niwahakikishia kwamba ile mbolea mlikuwa mnalipa shilingi 6,700, shilingi karibu 7,000, sasa tumesema tutauza kwa half the price, 3,500.
This comes as farmers continue to get subsidized fertilizer across the country.
Tayari tumepanga magunia milioni 6 ya mbolea ya aina tofauti tofauti. Na tumesema mwaka huu hatutaagiza tena ile mbolea ambayo inaitwa generics ambayo inaletwa imepangiwa mahali ingine.
According to President Ruto, the fertilizer is said to be soil specific and tailor-made to suit crop nutrient requirements. Different areas in Kenya will have different blend of fertilizers that will fit their needs.
Ile mbolea tutanunua ni ile tumefanyia utafiti na tumehakikisha kwamba imefanyiwa blending ili ilingane na soils yetu na pia ilingane na ile mimea ambayo tunakuza. And that is how we are going to move into the future.
President William Ruto revealed that plans are at an advanced stage to build 100 mega and 1,000 small dams for irrigation, livestock and domestic use.
Mumesikia mpango yetu ya kwamba lazima sasa tuelekeze kilimo yetu mahali kuna irrigation. Na ndio tumesema tunajenga dams 100 zile kubwa na 1,000 zile ndogo. Tuhakikisha kwamba tunatega maji kila sehemu ya Kenya. Na hiyo mpango inaanza kuanzia mwezi wa 6, ndio tuhakikishe kwamba we have enough harvested water to facilitate our irrigation. We are committed and we have said in the next 5 years we're going to increase our area under irrigation from 600,000 acres to 3 million acres.
The National Steering Committee on Drought Response has released a food distribution program in the 9 mostly hit counties considered to be in the alarm phase. The 4-day exercise will begin on March 7th and targets identified households in Isiolo, Mandera, Marsabit, Turukana, Kajiado, Kilifi, Kitui, Samburu and Wajir. A total of 55,400 households out of a population of 339,142 will benefit from the program.
Vile vile kama serikali tumeweka pesa karibu bilioni 13 ya kuhakikisha kwamba we supply food to the Kenyans in need of food. Juzi katika baraza letu la mawaziri tumeongeza bilioni 3 ambayo itatumika in the next 2 months, na tukiona ya kwamba mvua haijakuja tutaongeza pesa zingine ili tuhakikishe ya kwamba hakuna Mkenya atakufa mahali popote ama apoteze maisha yake kwa sababu ya kukosa chakula. We are going to ensure that there is continuous supply of food, especially to areas that have food deficit in the Republic of Kenya.
A report from the National Drought Management Authority (NDMA) has put Embu, Narok, Taita Taveta, Makueni, Meru, Nyeri and Lamu counties in the alert drought phase. The drought continues to worsen in 21 of the 23 arid and semi-arid counties. This has been attributed to the 4 failed consecutive rain seasons and the late onset and poorly distributed 2022 short rain season. Davis Mberia, Ebru News.
Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called on farmers to sell their maize now before the arrival of imported grains, which will disrupt the current market prices. Speaking during the opening of the Eldoret National Agricultural Society of Kenya show, the Deputy President said it is the responsibility of the Kenyan government to prioritize and protect the interest of farmers first. Gachagua said that the imported maize will be tax-free, therefore cheaper, and this will cause losses to farmers who may delay in the sale of their produce.
Deputy President, 400,000 Deputy President, 400,000 Deputy President, Honorable Member ameshindwa 400,000.
Kwa hivyo ningetaka kuchukua nafasi hii nikiwa kiongozi wenu ambaye anampenda kushauri wakulima, msingojee mahindi toke nje kwa sababu itaharibu soko. Yale mahindi yote mko nayo kwa store kuanzia leo saa 8 muachilie kwa ile bei iko kwa sababu ni bei nzuri. Mkishindwa kufanya hivyo mtapatwa na ile mahindi ya kutoka nje na bei ya mahindi itateremuka mkiwa na mahindi kwa store. Tafadhali wakulima katika hapa Uasin Gishu, pande ya Kitale, pande ya Nakuru, pande ya Kakamega, tafadhali muachilie mahindi ile iko kwa soko, bei iko sawa iko mzuri, ndio muweze kuweka hiyo pesa kwa bank, mjipange nayo pale mbele. Lakini lazima tutaharishe nyinyi kwa sababu sisi ni watu ya kuongea ukweli. Na lazima tuongee ukweli. Mkikaa na hiyo mahindi kwa store, mtapatwa na yale itatoka nje ya baini ya bei ya chini kwa sababu itakuja bila ushuru na mtakuwa na matatizo. Kwa hivyo namuomba kwa heshima mkubali, muachilie mahindi iingie kwa soko, ndio bei ya unga iteremuke.
Now, with the government currently providing relief food for counties affected by drought, including Garissa County, Garissa Governor Nathif Jama has issued a warning against individuals found diverting relief food meant for the drought-stricken areas for personal benefit.
Areas currently affected by drought in the country are receiving relief food from the government to assist the affected families. Garissa Governor Nathif Jama, whose county is among the beneficiaries, has sent a stern warning to individuals found diverting the relief food. While launching drought responses initiatives in the county to assist individuals affected by drought, Governor Jama urged the citizens to report to the relevant authorities of any suspected individuals responsible for diversion of relief food.
So mimi leo niko hapa kuzindua mradi wa kutoa chakula ya kwa usaidizi na kwa walioathirika na ukame. Hii chakula ambayo leo kaunti yangu inaitoa ni chakula tunatarajia itawatosha hawa watu walioathirika for some time.
In the food distribution exercise to affected families in Modogashe town, the Garissa governor further cautioned the individuals handling the distribution of relief food to families to be held responsible in case of any maladministration.
Bwana DCC, wewe na sub-county administrator, our MCA and the other leaders, committee members, naomba hii chakula itolewe vizuri, isiharibiwe, isiibwe, wala isiporwe. Kwa sababu mimi najua kwamba kuna watu wengine wamekuwa hodari sana kwa mambo ya kupora chakula ya wamaskini.
He called on the local elders in the villages to help in monitoring the exercise and report cases of individuals that may fail to receive the food for them to be assisted.
Hizi ripoti za kusema kwamba eti governors are not concerned or are not serious about development, tafadhali tunakuomba, you better come out and see what we are going through. I am a very conscious governor matters development. Lakini there are some times when development inakuwa ni difficult to fulfill. We are suffering with over 6 years of failed, 6 seasons rather, 6 seasons of failed rains. Now, at times like this, hata kama ungetaka kujenga whatever, schools ama anything, you will not be able to do it. Because ujenge skuli na watoto hawako, they have all dropped out because of hunger, because of lack of water. So, kuna priorities. Of course, development is a priority, but there are times when development becomes less priority. What becomes priority at that time ni mambo ya kupeana chakula, mambo ya to save lives.
The governor promised expansive assistance to the residents of the county, focusing the budget allocated for the county towards the current priority, which is in feeding the families affected by drought. Mariam Bashir reporting for Ebrutv.
Now to our key story tonight, focusing on matters of climate change. Now, the global temperatures have risen to over 1.1 degrees centigrade above the pre-industrial level, with glaciers melting and the sea level rising. Impacts of climate change ranging from flooding and drought, displacing millions of people, sinking them into poverty and denying them access to basic services such as health and education, expanding inequalities, stifling economic growth, and even causing conflict. Now, by 2030, an estimated 700 million people will be at the risk of displacement by drought alone. Our very own Ode Francis brings you a special feature on how women bear the brunt of climate change in the northern part of Kenya. Take a look.
Driving through the glimmering sand of the North Horr region in Kenya's northern part, the sun feels unbearably hot and the air is thick with dust. The reek of decay grows stronger the closer we get to the Kambinyoka and Demo village.
Niko na mbuzi pia. Mbuzi yangu imeenda na mzee. Kuna ile ameacha hapa. Hizo zote zimekufa. Naomba usaidizi. Nipate isi 7 isikufe.
Njaa zimejitokezea. Watoto yote ni malnourished. Wakina mama yote sasa wako na njaa zaidi, hata kuleta maji imekuwa ngumu.
A group of vultures are hovering and descending to the ground to pick at what is left of a trail of livestock carcasses in the wake of the ravaging drought. Half a dozen women are trying to lift up a cow whose limbs can no longer support its frail frame, weighed down by the famine, with uncertainty visible on their faces, on the survival of the animal that feels ever closer to them in the fight to maintain a bold stance despite the threat staring at them.
So we bear the brunt as African countries. Women bear the most brunt. Women bear the most brunt because first, they are the most vulnerable in the community. Second, the climate change effects affect them because they also depend on this ecosystem in terms of livelihood.
Due to the diminished status and power, women and girls are especially vulnerable in such times of stress.
During such disasters, one, there are likelihoods of gender-based violence. There are likelihoods of early marriages for girls because people want to trade this livestock and get income immediately because they know they won't survive for a very long time. There are also vulnerabilities in terms of abuse, either physical or even sexual abuse of women and children. And most of the women who are single, single women who are heads of families bear more brunt on this.
As Antec, a climate change expert, explained, women may be pregnant or have childcare responsibilities and often lack control over household resources. Due to conservative traditions, the burden on them as primary family caregivers also increase.
Mimi naomba serikali na mafadhili yote. Sisi hatuna chakula ya mali, hatuna chakula yetu. Tunaomba, hatuna maziwa na sisi ni wamama, tunataka usaidizi.
Sasa hatuongei hata maneno ya mfugo, tunaongea juu ya binadamu. Ngombe imekusha, mbuzi iko kukusha, ngamia iko kwenda, na hakuna malisho utaona hapa.
It's a dry morning in Bubisa, northern Kenya. Children and women collecting the dead sheep and cows.
Sasa mtu ya motorbike anawacharge not less than 1,000. Just imagine that situation now.
Na mtungi yenyewe ni pesa ngapi ya maji?
Mitungi ya hapa ya maji ni kama shilingi 10 hivyo.
A rocky land, but women wake up with hope to sustain the livestock using their human food. What they hope to help survive can no longer eat due to lack of strength to even open its mouth to chew. Meet Talaso, a 20-year-old woman walking miles away from her village demo to buy hay worth 1,000 shillings, hoping to salvage her only left livestock. But on reaching home after 100 kilometers, she finds her only cow dead of starvation.
Tunachimba hii miti, mbuzi yetu inakula. Tunatoka saa 1, tunarudi saa 2 ya jioni nyumbani. Siku nyingine pia tunaenda kutafuta, mbuzi yetu inakula. Kila siku tunaenda, mbuzi yetu inakula hii tu kitu.
Those two goats, even though Talaso has brought them a meal, they also have no strength to chew. Traditionally, fetching water is a female task, and the famine has made this an insurmountable task.
Amehama hapa kwa sababu tu ya kiu, hawana maji, wako mbali na maji, hawana uwezo ya kuleta maji kwa hiyo mali walikuwa. Zamani walikuwa wanachukua hiyo maji na ngamia yao ama punda, na zote sasa zimekufa, ndio wamehama karibu na maji. Mimi naomba, nataka kusoma. Wazazi wangu wanataka kunitoa kwa shule. Mnisaidie nisome, nikuwe mwalimu.
Women are forced to pay 1,000 shillings for transport to fetch water worth 10 shillings per jerrycan. At the neighboring village, a woman left to take care of the remaining 2 goats.
From this minute, somebody can die.
Ikifika mwezi wa pili, kama hatujapata msaada, utaona binadamu area hii, utakuta wameisha yote.
Maji pia hatuna, tunataka usaidizi. Tunaenda na mgongo.
Women's hands here are almost turning due to digging for wild roots to at least sustain the remaining weak livestock. North Hor is a remote region largely disconnected from essential services. The drought has left livestock wasting away, deeply impacting local community who rely on them for their livelihood.
But if you look at Africa, we are the least emitters of climate change. But in countries, developed countries like China, US, they are the most emitters, actually emitting up to 80%.
Do you think as a woman in parliament, a legislature in parliament, have you voiced the issues of women, especially when it comes to climate change, as it is supposed to be raised?
Yes, and I'm still in the process. I have questions, and I'm also drafting some debate and also working on that. And yes, I have voiced and still going to voice on that.
A resident of Bubisa village, North Hor, says women are left behind to take care of children, hopeless and without anything to survive on, are left to share whatever food they eat with the remaining weak goats and cows.
Haswa sisi kama wamama tumekosa namna ya kufanya, tumefikiria sijui tutapeleka hii watoto wapi, tukawaacha tu ndani ya manyata, sinachukua njia nyingine.
Serikali imetuacha hapa siko county na hatujapata chakula ya county mpaka saizi, na hakuna mtu ya serikali amekuja kuona vile hii mali imeisha.
I sat down with climate change expert and legislators to find out how they could help women in northern Kenya.
They don't have information on early warning on this climate change, especially on the rainfall patterns. They don't have this information so that they're able to adjust based on these changes. The other thing is they're not able to access resources, looking at technical or even financial resources.
Hata ukabila iko because mimi nikiajiriwa kama county government ama minister fulani ama director fulani, I favor my people.
We call ourselves marginalized. The reason we say marginalized is that we don't get those big projects.
But you're in the parliament. Why don't you push?
We are pushing. Like just last week, we sat with the president. Women get affected because our girl child will definitely go get married. Why? Because of the drought, we've moved from one destination to another. When we move, as I said earlier, we move the whole family. Then a girl who is maybe in class 7 will not go back to school. Then that means there is a challenge for a girl child. We don't have a proper maternal facilities for pastoralists. That also affects us. What we want now in future is to look at a different way of life. You know, going from being the normal, ordinary pastoralist to maybe even looking at farming.
According to Warioguyo, the members of parliament for North Horr, they now say urgent action from the government is needed to deal with the crisis.
You know, looking at the effect of the climate change, the impacts will continue to be worsened. More and more people, not only northern Kenya but other parts of the country and the world, will continue fall into that bracket of facing the severe impact of the disaster. So basically, we need to think what's an alternative. There's plenty of underground water. This water can be harnessed. It can be drilled and then it can be used for irrigation. We've tried it while I was in the humanitarian sector. We've tried, and there's a lot of potential in that sector. But looking at northern Kenya, especially North Horr, let's say it covers 39,000 square kilometers with a population of 200,000. So if you can do, let's say, big irrigation schemes like Galana Kulalu, it can even accommodate 10, 20 of them. And it can really feed this country.
Family planning information and other medical services are also limited or unavailable in North Horr. This puts women at heightened risk of pregnancy-associated complications and even death. Malnutrition and poor sanitation also put new mothers and children at risk of contracting other diseases, such as cholera, resulting to an escalating mortality rate.
We are facing the most difficult moment for the next 4 months, and if the April rains fail again, so what are we expecting? We are expecting, the entire population of northern Kenya to be wiped out of the face of the world, of the earth. So basically, we are really worried. There are cases of reported human lives have been lost, especially in North Horr, and also in Ileret, due to hunger and starvation, nothing more. So basically, the situation is really dire. Livestock are gone. NGOs have really done their best.
What we need is the money to go immediately in terms of water tankering, in terms of livestock feed, animal feed, cash transfer. We, as representatives of the people, we shall not do any more other work until we make sure that these monies these responses has reached our people. We may not even go to parliament. We shall go to the ground, we shall follow up this money, we will from tomorrow morning, that will be our task.
I really want to urge the government, like we've said in the press conference, this should be a national disaster.
Guyo is saddened by the fact that the same region facing such acute water unavailability and drought often suffer destructive floods from the Ethiopian side of other border, water which could be harnessed for agriculture but is not. Climate change is a harsh and redefining reality that is changing our lives as we knew them, and its adverse effects at least to the result of the strained human-nature relationships. And as the sun in the northern Kenya sets, lives of women, the old, and children may set due to the biting status of drought occasioned by climate change. March is the month of celebrating women. Perhaps it's time to focus on climate change and women. For Ebrutv, Amode Francis.
Well delivered, Ode Francis. Thank you for that report. We now head on to Kiambu County, where in a move that is aimed at ending perennial decongestion at the overpopulated secondary schools within Thika constituency, a new secondary school has opened its doors. Jamhuri Secondary School hopes to end congestion at Broadway's, Kimuchu, Thika Girls High School and Queen of Rosary Secondary School that are already overpacked.
The introduction of junior secondary school has seen many schools grapple to accommodate students, with others ending up to share some of the facilities, including laboratories. In a move that is aimed at decongesting overpopulated schools in Thika Town constituency, a new public secondary school has been opened. Jamhuri Secondary School hopes to end congestion at Broadway's, Kimuchu, Thika Girls High School and Queens of Rosary Secondary Schools that are already overpacked.
Thika sub-county has a total of 13 public secondary schools. And out of those, only 5 are day schools, what we call sub-county schools. And Mheshimiwa, the pressure on Broadway, the pressure on Queen of Rosary, she gave her testimony here, was too much.
The latest learning institution has a capacity of accommodating at least 100 learners from the constituency, thereby easing pressure from the neighboring schools.
Hii shule ya junior secondary walimu ni wadogo. Kwa hivyo tunaweza omba walimu tuongezewe. Juu hata watoto ni wengi na wako nyumbani na wataendelea na kukuja.
Chenye naomba tafadhali serikali yetu ya Kenya watuongeze walimu kupitia hii shule yetu ya Jamhuri. Walimu ni wadogo kutoka junior secondary, kwa hivyo tunaomba tuongezewe walimu.
While officially opening the school for use, Thika Member of Parliament Alice Nganga revealed that the fully registered institution has all the requisite facilities to facilitate its smooth running.
Sasa kuanzia hii wiki ingine, Jamhuri Complex Secondary School tupatiwe walimu wetu wa secondary school.
The 14th public school in the constituency will formatively operate under one stream before it expands wings. Already, parents whose children have been admitted at the school have received 400,000 shillings bursary to facilitate their enrollments, even as the Member of Parliament promised to push for posting of more teachers. This comes as the government, through the Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashogu, announced it will construct 8,000 new laboratories in junior secondary schools across the country as it steps up efforts to ensure the competency-based curriculum is successful. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashogu said the laboratories will cost the government 10 billion shillings and cover at least 40% of what is required.
Facilities, as you can see, in almost each and every junior secondary school, apart from laboratories which we are going to build in the course of this year, and hopefully before the end of the year, each and every junior secondary school will be properly equipped with laboratories. So we cannot say that public schools are not as equipped as private secondary schools.
Speaking in Kisii Central during his inspection of junior secondary schools, Mashogu said the government was committed to ensuring that every child gets proper funding and rules out any possibilities of reverting to the 844 system.
Rose, one thing I tell you, the president appointed a presidential working party which went around the 47 counties gathering views from Kenyans, and the Kenyans, 82% of them, said CPC is a good system. All that is required is few amendments which have actually been done.
Davis Mberia, Ebru News.
We are saying that we should practice personal safety.
And still on matters education, even after resuming from the COVID-19 break and back to normal activities, which include co-curricular activities at the technical, vocational and educational training schools, now that is TVETs, the institutions are not yet out of the woods as the government reduced capitation. The institutions will be required to generate their own income as the government may not be able to fully finance them. The National Kenya Association of Technical Institutes chairperson, Mr. David Mwangi, has noted with the increased number of TVETs and enrollment, the institutions will be required to generate their own income as the government may not afford to fully finance them.
And what is coming out is that our TVET sector has actually increased in terms of population and in terms of institutions. Currently, we have 220 institutions, and we also have over 300,000 students in those institutions.
However, speaking after the conclusion of the Mount Kenya East and West Drama Film competitions that were jointly held at the St. Mark's Teachers Training College in Kigari, Embu County, principals from upcoming institutions decried a myriad of challenges to hold the festivals.
We have committed ourselves to ensuring the students participate in activities, but we have a big challenge with the transport. You know, the college doesn't have a bus, so we have to hire buses when we are traveling. But we are committed to growing their talents, and therefore we are still continue doing what we can to ensure that they participate in activities.
Not come here because we have muscles in finances. We saved here and there, and we had an agenda to expose the students to the festivity.
We have committed ourselves to ensuring the students participate in activities, but we have a big challenge with the transport. You know, the college doesn't have a bus, so we have to hire buses when we are traveling. But we are committed to growing their talents, and therefore we are still continue doing what we can to ensure that they participate in activities.
Principals of technical training institutions were recently promoted as the government embarked on a strategy to make mid-level education attractive, apart from the ministry's observation that the number of students seeking courses in technical colleges was rising, hence the need to expand facilities.
Actually, where we are heading is that we want institutions to generate their own revenue. So as number increases, as the institution increases, it might also be difficult for the government to be able to provide capitation.
The Ministry of Education recently pledged 312 million shillings to constituencies in the government's big plan to have TVETs in every constituency. And with the increase in subscriptions, current institutions may have to carry their own weight.
Also looking at the possibilities of having the national polytechnics coming back to the other 9 regions. The reason being, we are having other institutions that will be upgraded to national polytechnics. And we don't want to continue picking all the big institutions to form the 10th region, which is the national polytechnic region.
The institutions are fast becoming the alternative of choice, with more than 3,000 of last year's Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education cohort who qualified for university opting to take courses at TVETs. We now head to the west of the continent, where Nigeria's Electoral Commission declared Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the winner of last Saturday's presidential election. However, the two major opposition parties say the results were rigged and have vowed to challenge the results in court.
The man known as the godfather of Nigeria's Lagos state is now on his way to the country's highest office. Winning 37% or nearly 9 million of the total votes, Bola Tinubu emerged victorious in the hotly contested presidential contest. He takes over from Muhammadu Buhari, who's stepping down after the constitutional limit of 2 terms, marked by widespread insecurity and economic problems. But for some Abuja residents, it's not the fresh start they had hoped for.
On the 25th of February, we voted our choice. We do not vote for Tinubu. Women can no longer farm. There's no food in the market. Nigerians are hungry.
Tinubu's victory is being challenged by the opposition, People's Democratic Party and Labour Party. They allege the weekend election was rigged, with many Nigerians denied the chance to vote. Observers say last Saturday's presidential election was flawed by long delays and technical glitches with newly introduced voter accreditation machines. But INEC said the problem, though regrettable, was not an attempt to manipulate votes. Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi held a press briefing Thursday.
And I assure you that good people of Nigeria, that we will explore all legal and peaceful options to reclaim our mandates. We won the election. I will prove it to Nigerians.
Tinubu has called for unity and wants the opposition to work with him. The opposition parties want a redo, but political analysts say that is only possible if they can prove enough votes were manipulated to sway the outcome. Experts say the new president faces a daunting task. Nigeria is battling Islamist militants and armed kidnappers, mostly in the north. The country's economy is also suffering from high inflation and shortages of fuel and hard cash. Timothy Obiezu for VOA News, Abuja, Nigeria.
And now to matches sports. Kwandanze girls volleyball team jetted back into the country early Friday morning from Morocco after winning the Africa Volleyball Tournament and crowned the new continental champions. They were received by Machakos Governor Wavinya Ndeti, who had arranged a big breakfast feast for the champions. The volleyball queens, who were accompanied by their coach Justin Kigwari, were received at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport by the Machakos Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi and a host of top county officials. Addressing the media shortly after landing, the team captain Lina Ogweno said it cost them hard work, resilience, strategy and teamwork to beat their worthy opponents Morocco in the finals. Governor Wavinya pledged her government's commitment to nurturing youth talent and promoting the sporting industry in the county.
We went to Morocco, we played Morocco B, beat them 3-0, and our final we played with Morocco A, beat them 3-0. We are so happy for our winning. In our winning, we are so happy, and first of all we win our East Africa game in Tanzania last year, and that's why we qualified to go to Morocco.
Ingawa Waarabu wanajua volleyball kwa hakika tuliwapiku, manake sisi tuna volleyball kuwaliko pia. Ndio kusema kwamba sisi ndio mabingwa wa Afrika bara lote. Yaani kwamba si mabingwa wa Afrika Mashariki sasa hivi. Lakini hii ni bidii tu, nidhamu ya wasichana, na nikiongezea katika yote hatungeweza kushinda tu hivi hivi. Lakini motisha ambao tulipewa na Governor Wavinya.
Wasichana wangu mnafanya vizuri. You have done. Now let me tell you, you have gone to Morocco. God has just opened the doors for you to go anywhere in the world that you want. Just be focused. Be focused. Even after Form 4 you do well, you can apply to universities and even they can give you scholarship.
All right, congratulations to the new queens of volleyball in Africa. Congratulations. Now, on that report, we come to the end of the Friday edition of the Ebro Prime Time News. Thank you so much for your valued company through the broadcast. And also a big thank you to the whole team involved in the production of tonight's broadcast. My name is Emmanuel Kutosi, and as we go home and actually relax and everything concerning the weekend that is beginning, how about I leave you with a Nigerian proverb that says, anyone who utters an insult in the market knows exactly who he is referring to. Whatever you do with that is up to you. My name is Emmanuel Kutosi. Enjoy the rest of your night and your weekend.